Incredible great news. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. Stimulus is finally coming. Finally coming as both members of Congress, the House and the Senate, are ready to get it out. And they're planning the bill, they're planning the vote, and they're planning the provisions. Ultimately, the provisions are the big issue. And that's why Purple Power, the viewers of this channel, have been on front. They have been on front for the discussion and the amount. And in this video, we're going to go over that $2,000 for 6 months. We're going to go over the deal provisions of other bills that need to be in there and were tossed aside because they were too progressive or they were too moderate. Well, guess what? Those people got reelected because they're the voices of the American people. And so are you. And this is an incredible day of purple. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Purple with incredible great news, such incredible great news. I'm so glad you joined me. This is part of our 2-hour programming block here every day on LALATE. Following this is Being a Mitch. I'll go over Mitch McConnell and his push to get you stimulus. And then following that is Seats for Stimulus, in which I'll go over why Wall Street is preparing for the stimulus to come to you. It's incredible great news, and you can't miss an entire video, any of these videos today. Make sure you go to the Funnish channel, subscribe, because together we're going to get through this pandemic, and we are absolutely pushing the narrative. Purple Power is featured on one broadcast channel today, and it's going to continue. So you need to be in front of the ball because it's going to move very quickly, and I don't want anyone or anything left out. Also, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm. In a day in which a lot of people are saying that a $6,000 stimulus check is coming out next week, it's not. Or a $10,000 stimulus check is coming to you next week, it's not. And it's important that you stay with me and get this narrative to the front of all the algorithm. And we've been ranking number 1 and 3 all week long. All right, in this video, I'm going to be going over why the focus needs to be on robust stimulus checks that continue over a duration of time. That's the first thing. Then I'm going to be focusing on why there's a new belief that the stimulus will be passed very quickly and why it's so important to get the narrative out now before they start writing the bill. Third, I'll be going over the issue of grants and why you should be laser focused on getting grants that are out there now and grants that are coming. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as we sit here today is that the amount of the stimulus check for the second stimulus package is a brand new issue because we're starting from scratch. Gone is Steve and Nancy. They are no longer the negotiators. Gone is the bill of the HEALS Act. Gone is the bill of the HEROES Act. Gone is the notion that that the White House will tell Nancy Pelosi what it wants and that she will argue about this. Gone is all that. You literally have to sort of empty your mind and forget everything about that because that's no longer happening. What I want to explain to you very simply is that the whole process of getting a second stimulus bill done is no longer how it was to now. So if you have sat back and heard this and that in September or August or July and think, oh God, we're going to sort of do the same thing now. No, it's all totally new. It's all totally new. I don't want to go through why it's totally new because I'll take 5 minutes of this video. I want to focus on the stimulus checks. And so let me get right to the point. Stimulus checks, how much are you owed? You're owed a lot of money. And it doesn't cost a lot of money to pay you that money, which is sort of like the most obvious thing of this entire discussion. Mitch McConnell wants to spend somewhere around $2 trillion or less. Good. Okay, let's start with that, Mitch. You want to spend about $2 trillion or less. It costs about $300 billion to do about a $2,000 stimulus check. Okay, so then a $4,000 stimulus check would be about $600 billion. Okay, you see where I'm going? $900 billion. That's an 8,000. Let me see if I just did that right. 2004. $6,000 stimulus check. So you see how it doesn't cost a lot of money to send out a very robust single stimulus check, $4,000, $6,000. It doesn't cost a lot of money. What costs a lot of money in these stimulus packages is things that have nothing to do with you, have nothing to do with stimulating the economy. And as one viewer reminded me this morning in a private message, and I love when the viewers are getting smarter than I am, which is just incredible. They said, LA, don't forget the $800 billion. I forgot about the $800 billion. So when Mitch doesn't want to spend more than $2 trillion, he doesn't want to spend more than $2 trillion of new money. He has $800 billion still sitting around. There's no dispute that money is sitting around. That money is still sitting around, and it's not going back into Treasury. There's no method to put money back into Treasury. It's just sitting there outside of Treasury. It's sort of like, the person outside the club that can't get in, the old 50 Cent song. You're outside, you can't get in. Okay, you know what? I'm going to repurpose you. I'm going to put you in another club, the Casino Club. So we're going to send you out as something else. Mitch can do that. So when Mitch wants to not spend $2 trillion, he doesn't want to spend $2 trillion on new money, which is understanding. That's because he's worried about the national debt. Okay, the national debt has already taken the hit of using $800 billion. It's already been taken out of the Treasury. It's sitting there. You can repurpose it. And guess how much stimulus checks $800 billion covers for? So if you do the math, because I've done this 1,000 times in recordings before, $800 billion, just that for stimulus checks would be $4,000 with some money left over for FPUC. And if you use all the money, it would be $5,000 for stimulus checks on just the $800 billion. And then if you want to say, okay, let me give a little bit more money in a new second stimulus package, in the new stimulus package, how much more? Just, let's put another $300 billion in it. Okay, you could literally spend this much money in the second stimulus package. You could just spend $300 billion, which is really almost nothing. You could spend $300 billion in the new stimulus package for a $2,000 stimulus check, and then use the $800 billion that's sitting around in CARES Act 1, which accounts for $5,000 stimulus checks. You could be at $7,000 stimulus checks for all Americans and only spend $300 billion in a new stimulus package where Mitch wants to spend less than $2 trillion. It's so easy. It's so friggin' easy. You don't want to spend a lot of money? Fine. I can do it to you for $300 billion. And then you have the rest of the $1.7 billion to spend on other things like PPP and EIDL and hazard pay and FPUC and PUA. It's so incredibly easy. And so what you need to do is absolutely get this narrative out on social media. You need to take these videos and posting them on Facebook, tagging Mitch, tagging the Republican, tagging the Democrats in the House, in the Senate. People have been asking me, who do I tag now that I see the problems of what's going on in the presidential election? You should be tagging senators, your senators, and other people's senators, just as many senators as you can tag. You should also start narratives with your senator if you can. Call up your senator's office. Say, hey, now that we're over the election, we need stimulus checks. I want you to push for stimulus checks. People think those things don't work. Oh, they really work. Back in the day, before this channel moved into stimulus coverage, I was covering how my pushing for EIDL caused a congressional hearing in which they brought in Jovita Carranza. And at that congressional hearing, 2 senators said what viewers had told to those senators were their problems with how EIDL was being mismanaged by SBA. And Lily said to her, this is the problem for my constituents. You think they don't do that? They do that. So we need to be very high on the ball. Is that the expression? No. We need to be on the ball, not very high on the ball. We need to be on the ball to get the narrative out that we need stimulus. Then there's that MSNBC interview with Chris Hayes, with Senator Harris, who may be your VP Harris by Saturday afternoon. And she said $1,200 doesn't cut it. And she said that in May. Well, guess what? $1,200 doesn't cut it in November. And it doesn't cut it in December either. And so what's important to understand is you need to take that video and start sharing it on social media and say, hey, $1,200 didn't cut it then. It sure ain't cutting it now. We need more robust stimulus. Now, Wall Street believes that stimulus is coming to you, and they all have a different notion of how and when, but they all agree it needs to come into your hands. When we talk about grants, it's also very important it gets in your hands. There's several grants that are out there now, and there's new grants that are coming, and then there's other grants that are around the corner. Let me go over those right now. First, CARES Act 1 has a lot of money that's being dedicated to state and local cities and counties across the country, and that CARES Act money is being used by cities and counties for you. So what you need to do is go on Google News and look, Google News, not Google Web, and look for grants plus your city plus something like CARES Act. And you'll see if they had announced new grants. These grants are announced for just a short period of time, and they roll out, and there they go, and then they're gone. It's money for food, money for rent, money for small business owners, money for individuals, all different types of things at different times. Go get it. That's money for you. Next, the second stimulus package had a lot of provisions in there for grants. I don't know which ones are going to survive, and I don't know which ones Mitch are going to like. This is what I'm warning you right now. It's important to understand that you will see some grants survive the second stimulus package, in my opinion, but I don't think any grant will survive at a $10,000 number or higher. I just think that you're never going to see a GOP Senate group give big grants. They will give smaller grants. And so what's important to understand is that if someone's telling you there's a lifeline grant of, in the second stimulus package, of $50,000, there is, in that package, do you think, should you be excited you're going to get it? No, you're not going to get a $50,000 grant from this Senate ever. And what's important to understand is that some people are sending the narrative out that it is coming to you. And among the people that's sending that narrative out is the Temple of Doom. Today and yesterday, she says, I'm so excited to send out big money to big states and pass a big infrastructure plan. Excuse me? The infrastructure plan she's referring to is $7 trillion. That's never going to pass. Nor is the tax raises, nor is the regulation of Google and Facebook, nor are those other things. Those things are not passing. What is going to pass is money for you, and we're going to get it right away. Let me go with some incredible questions and comments from Wall Street talking about your stimulus today. Danielle DiMarino Booth, CEO and strategist at Quill Intelligence, with the hope of a blue wave dashed, fiscal stimulus is likely to be underwhelmed. What she's saying is that stimulus will not be $3.4 trillion. It will be problem solver stimulus. It will be 1.5 to 2. It won't be 3.4. Wasn't there a guy in a purple shirt who said to you about a week ago, Nancy Pelosi's biggest error will be, looking back, she should have taken the $1.9 trillion offer because it'll never be there again. Let's just check back in a few days and see if the offer that comes from Mitch is 1.7 or 1.8. Because I'm telling you right now, she should have taken the 1.9. It's never going to be there again. Negotiations collapsed before the November 3rd election with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. Democrats had put forward a $2.2 trillion offer and then down from 3.4, while the White House agreed to spend 1.8. This is from Fox Business News. Mitch McConnell, who will be taking the lead on virus negotiations. There's Mitch right now. According to sources familiar with the talks, said Wednesday that Congress should pass a spending bill before the end of the year, a reversal of the stance to the election. The source said the administration made its best and final offer, the 1.9, in the weeks before. The likely means McConnell will put forward the skinny $5 bill previously reckoned. During a press conference Friday, the Kentucky Republican pointed to GOP growth in the third quarter and then November's reports. If you did not catch that, that was a mouthful. First, it confirms what I told you yesterday. Mitch McConnell is now the negotiator for the Republicans on the stimulus package. Second, it may not be $1.9 trillion. The $1.9 trillion that was offered to Nancy Pelosi is poof. It's gone. It will never exist again. Third, it's being rewritten, and it's all brand new stuff. Mitch McConnell today says, I think it reinforces the argument that I've been making along that something smaller than $3.3 trillion at issue is more appropriate. It is more appropriate. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi today called on the White House to start negotiating with her. That's where the fake narrative is kicking in. White House is not going to answer her calls. White House is not going to negotiate with her. Steve Mnuchin is never going to talk to Nancy Pelosi ever again. The negotiations between Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin are poof. She has to negotiate with Mitch McConnell whether she likes it or not. And by the okay, let me correct that. Someone for the Democrats have to negotiate with Mitch McConnell whether they like it or not. It may not be Nancy Pelosi because there's a move underway to remove her as Speaker of the House. On top of that, millions of laid-off workers could lose their jobless benefits altogether by the end of the year, when unemployment benefits through Congress approved in March are set to expire on December 31st. So that's what I wanted to go on over with this video for you right now as well. There's a lot of stuff expiring in late December, and you need to know that. PUA expiring late December. FPEUC expiring late December. I presume EIDL loans is actually expiring late December. So if you've not gotten the loans, I think those may expire in late December, meaning for new applicants. And EIDL grants, if they're even doing them anymore. I don't think they are. Rent eviction moratorium expiring. Mortgage forbearance expiring. Student loan debt repayment expiring. LWA expired already. And so you see a lot of the stuff that was created by either the 3 Trump executive orders or created by the CARES Act 1 are expiring. And they're expiring very quickly. And this is why movement's needed right now. With that, let me go over some incredible questions and comments from yesterday's video. This one was... oh, sorry. Skipped a page. SoCal Renee. She is a hook. I can't stand her. I don't know who she's referring to. Sabrina. Nancy's now pissed. How did she feel about her leadership? Timmy, how did she survive the vote count? Dale, they need to send out more than $1,200. Cindy Miller. Hey, Mr. LALATE, are you busy on New Year's Eve? How about a virtual party? We can see this year to the door. I like that. Maybe. Let's see. Tracy Garrett. I voted all red. Rolanda Mendoza. Nancy screwed up. Not going for the 1.8 trillion. Look. Viewer said exactly what I just said. Rolando Mendoza. Gracias. He said exactly what I just said. Nancy screwed up. She should have taken the offer. Big Bush. Can this happen with the stimulus checks before Thanksgiving? I don't know. Maybe. Chavella Castillo. Love you, LA. Love your show and keeping our spirits up during this trying time. Purple Power. Thank you so much. Jeannie. She wanted in one hand and something else I can't say on camera. JR Streets. We're sick of Nancy. Margaret. And they're going to get rid of her because she won't be Speaker of the House much longer. Patricia. I'm so ready for this election to be ready. And what did Nancy expect when she turned down the $1.8 trillion? Yeah. It was a big blunder. John McDuff. Chicago's now saying this outbreak is worse than the first outbreak. Oh, is Chicago on lockdown now? I haven't checked. I'll look this afternoon. Amy Straw. I think we need professional counters like already. I agree. If you have questions, comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below, and I might feature them tomorrow's recording. Coming up next is Being a Mitch, and now you see this breaking news report. Which says that Mitch is now the lead negotiator for your stimulus relief. And all she talks about is talking to the White House. They ain't talking yet. They're talking to their lawyers to deal with Pennsylvania, Michigan. They're not talking to you, Nance. So stay with me because this is going to be a big broadcast. Also, go to the front channel, subscribe because we're going to get through this pandemic together. And also, let's like this video. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LA for more.